So in my line of work, a lot of people ask me about investing. Mainly, they ask me what I think of unit trusts and fixed deposits, aka FDs, which are the two most common ways to invest in Malaysia. And in my opinion, sorry, neither one of those two instruments are any good. First, unit trusts. The ads almost always show you dreamy pictures of being retired on a beach, sipping a cocktail, stuff like that. But the reality couldn't be further from the truth, because if the premise of investing is to ensure returns are maximized, then definitely do not go for unit trusts. Because even if you get the best fund manager in the world, your returns will be crippled by the exorbitant fees charged by the provider. There are sales charges, redemption charges, management charges, transfer charges, switching charges. They charge you for everything. They charge you when you buy unit trusts, sell unit trusts, even when you transfer them to someone else or switch between funds. And the real kick in the teeth, the fund provider, the fund manager, gets paid even if they lose you money. Check out this comment from a reader of a blog called verylongrun.com. He said, and I quote, "I recently berated an investment bank privately for giving me 0% in 3 years on my PRS aggressive fund. It's not the 0% that angered me, it's the fact that those analysts and fund managers still took a management fee for basically eroding my capital," unquote. To find out exactly how much they charge you, I went to the prospectus page of one of the funds belonging to a big unit trust provider in Malaysia, and this is what I found out. Sales charge, 5.5%. Switching charge, 0.75%. Annual management charge, 1.5%. Transfer charge, 50 ringgit. Redemption charge, it depends on the net asset value of the unit trust to be redeemed, and the other fees that include bank charges, courier charges, among other indirect charges as a result of you buying and selling your own unit trusts, all borne by you. And that's not all. After all that, the provider says that all the above fees and charges are subject to GST, which again are payable by you. You're in the hole by 7.75% even before they start working for you. In fact, the only people who are retiring rich and early are the unit trust consultants who sold you these products. And that's still not all. Because you gotta forgive these exorbitant fees if the fund managers performed well, right? As in, they beat the market consistently and give you stellar returns year in, year out, right? Well, no they don't. A study by my friend and financial planner Julian Ng showed that over a 10-year time frame, Malaysian equity unit trust funds underperformed the diversified portfolio of world markets. He found that since 2007, Malaysia-focused funds on average returned just 5.9% net of fees, lower than the returns given by world, developed markets, US, Asia ex-Japan, and ASEAN-focused funds. By the way, in case you didn't realize, the vast majority of unit trust funds in Malaysia only invest in Malaysia. So does that mean that foreign fund managers are better at beating the index? No. A May 2017 report from Standard & Poor's showed that since 2002, 92% of large-cap funds, 95% of mid-cap funds, and 93% of small-cap funds have all failed to beat the S&P 500. In short, highly paid fund managers are failing in their job of beating the country indexes. So what about FD, otherwise known in Malaysia as fixed deposits? Well, FDs have been a terrible place to park your money in the last 10 years because they've been so low. In fact, barely above inflation, as this chart shows. Most of the developed world, with the exception of the US, is in its 8th year of quantitative easing, which is just a fancy term to describe using low or zero interest rates to encourage economic growth. So if both FDs and unit trusts are crappy, then what else? Well, you see, there's no one-size-fits-all strategy because everyone is different. Your age, your risk profile, the number of dependents you have, your income levels, etc. But this is what I've learned from successful people. Successful people invest in themselves, whether by starting their own businesses, learning new things, or always upskilling themselves. Successful people also start early. They know that investing is a time game. They know that the more years spent accumulating gains and returns, the richer they become. Successful people also try as much as possible to know what they're doing, which means they're always reading, they're always researching, they're always learning. And for those who don't have the time to do all that, like well-paid professionals and even busy entrepreneurs, they make sure to keep their investing costs as low as possible while not expecting mega returns. I mean, I know lots of wealthy folks out there who have invested in low-cost passive funds that cost next to nothing every year but deliver consistent index-linked returns year in, year out. And of course, there's always property, but you'll need to come up with a down payment, you've got to commit to your mortgage for the next 30 years, and you've got to contend with the time and pain when it comes time to selling it. All of which means if you leave it to the so-called professionals, you're never going to retire early or rich. They might, but you won't, so you're on your own. Just saying.